Again, I was wanting to speak to y'all on Genesis 6. I think it's an interesting chapter, and sometimes it's translated wrong, I believe. But I believe in the literal word of the Bible in most cases. And there are some, like Daniel, is metaphorical to a lot of degrees. But for the most part, I believe in the absolute literal word of the Bible. In Genesis 6, it said, "It come to pass, when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, the daughters were born unto them, and the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose." Now the sons of God, the sons of Hawa, are the angels. And of course, the daughters of man is the women that were born from Adam's seed. And Hawa said, "My spirit shall not always strive with man, for he is also his flesh, and yet his days shall be 120. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also after that." Now, giants in Hebrew actually means Nephilim. Nephal mean fallen, and limb mean angel. And it says there were giants in the land those days and after, meaning that there were giants after the flood as well. And that when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children of them, and the same became mighty men, which were the men of old, men of renown. The men of old is the ones that lived long times, that had these extensive lifespans, like you hear about in the King's Stones of Samaria. And the men of renown, another way of interpreting that, is like superheroes. Like they said in Hancock, that they used to call us gods, now they call us superheroes. We're just talking about the Nephilim. And God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continuously. So Hawa saw that the hearts of man, every thought was evil. Not just every thought that we acted on, but every thought in our hearts was absolute evil. Or in their hearts, because obviously we weren't around back then. And repented Hawa that he had made man on the earth, and grieved him at his heart. And Hawa said, "I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creepy things, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I made them." And I had to think about that a lot, that Hawa repented about what he had done. But I think he was so disgusted with the way man had went with the powers that he gave him, the strength that he gave him, that he has decided that he would destroy it all. And there's a couple of times that he has said that he would destroy us all because we kept on turning away and doing wrong. You see it again in the Exodus that he's seen them worshiping the cattle after he showed them all that he was the greatest thing of all, and they were worshiping an idol of gold. He says, I will destroy them all. Our Hawa is very jealous. That's why I can't see him saying to worship Jesus or put another one in front of him, because the first commandment is, thou shalt not have any other God, because I am a very jealous God. You know, I mean, but he gets very mad when we do not follow his laws, not follow him completely. And all of his laws, it says any man that has broken any commandment has broken them all. But that is a blasphemous thing, to take these gifts that he's giving us every day and turn away from him. Just to believe in Hawa is not enough, but to follow his commandments. That's what he said, if you love me, follow my commandments. I mean, he did not mean that lightly. But Noah found grace in the eyes of Hawa. These are the generations of Noah. And Noah was just a man, perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with God, with Hawa. Noah walked with Hawa. I mean, he was very close with him. Just as his generations, about 7 generations before him, there was a man named Enoch who lived 365 years and said walked with Hawa. And he did not see death because Hawa took him. It means Enoch did not die. But anyway, I digress. Noah walked with Hawa. And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and for the sake of, I'm not sure how to say this in Hebrew, Japhet. There was no J's in that time. The earth also was corrupt before Hawa, and the earth was filled with violence. And Hawa looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh corrupted upon the earth. And Hawa said to Noah, the end of flesh is come before me, for the earth was filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. And rooms that shall make in the ark shall pitch it without with pitch. Which I'm not sure exactly what all that means, but gopher wood is an interesting point, though. He even chose the wood it was made of. And gopher wood only grows in one place in the entire world, which is Florida, here in North America. It started over here. And this is fashion which shall make it. This is the fashion you shall make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, and the breadth of it shall be 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A window shalt thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above. And the door of the ark shall be set in the side, therefore, with the lower and the second and the third stories shalt thou make it. And behold, I do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh wherein the breath of life from under the heaven, and everything that is in earth shall die. The breath of life which is in the heavens. That's why I said the breath. The name is the breath. That's why we all confess his name with every breath. That's why I said every man should confess his name with his last breath. It's in our natural flow. That's why it says so many times that the breath, or I am, because they know I am means Hawa. The original Torah, the word Hawa was mentioned 3,000 times, over 3,000 times. They changed it to Lord God because they kept on saying that it was blasphemous to say his name. But if he told Moses, this is the way that you should, this is who you should say sent you, and then you should always refer to me as Hawa, or I am, then that should be the only thing that we should ever call them by. Because it does not say call me God, it does not say call me Lord. And really that is more blasphemous. There is power in the word Hawa. Absolute power. But I digress. Behold, but with thee I will establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thy sons and thy wives, and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee, and every living thing of all the flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, and keep them alive, and with thee, and they shall be male and female. And most people know this story, but they don't really realize that he didn't just bring 2 of every animal, but all the clean animals, he brought 7 of each of them. Of the fowls after their kind, and the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, 2 of every shall come unto thee, keep alive, and take thou unto thee, and of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather into thee, and it shall be for food for thee, and for food for them. Thus did Noah according to all Hawa commanded of him, and did so he. And that's the end of Genesis 6. But he told Noe, because Noah's name was Noe, in the original scriptures to make a great ark in great detail. Taught them exactly what kind of wood to make, how long to make it, how tall to make it, how this one window, this door should be here, and I'm going to call all these animals, and all the food that they got was vegetables, because back then, before the flood, everything was vegetarian, including any law-abiding man. We did not eat the flesh of animals until after the flood. And then it says that the animals will fear you because they will know you as a predator. But you're still not to eat the flesh of man or drink blood. That is against the Noahide laws. But we did start eating animals because first after the flood there was not many plants to eat. We had to live. That's why Hawa brought 7 of each of the clean animals, which means he brought 7 males of clean animals and 7 females of clean animals. There's 7 sets of each of those, which it says in Genesis 7, and 2 of all the unclean animals. That way they could keep on breeding, obviously. And I do believe that dinosaurs and dragons and all those things were on the ark too, because he did not destroy things that were not evil. I mean, things like Tyrannosaurus Rex and raptors and stuff like that were probably destroyed, and it's probably why they find mass abundances in graveyards like they were choking to death, because the flood destroyed them all in one fell swoop. In Jasher, it says that that Noe and Methuselah were told to preach to man for 120 years that, to repent of their ways, and Hawa would not destroy them. But they all thought he was mad. In Enoch, we find out that Noah was a different breed of man to a degree, because he was not like his father. He had white skin and red cheeks and blue eyes. And I know not everybody reads these non-canonical scriptures, but you really got to take it into context that it's saying that he was an albino. He was different than everybody else. But he followed Hawa just as his father, his dad, and his dad's dad, and his dad's dad. Methuselah was the oldest man who ever lived, according to Scripture, 969 years old, and died just 3 weeks before the flood, according to the book of Jasher. When Noah was born, his father Lamech, his dad Lamech, thought that he might have been the fallen angels because he had white skin. And the Nephilim had white skin. I mean, it says that Samael was the angel of light. I mean, maybe the angels are coded, because you talk about that when it talks about the angels that Ezekiel met. They were all had skin like brass that was in the furnace too long. When it describes Hawa in Ezekiel, it says that he was had skin that was like brass, fine brass that had been in the furnace too long. I mean, he was dark like copper. But he had hair, long hair like wool, like the so-called African American, and a long white beard like wool. But if you ever study what it says about Samael, he had a great light with him too. I've said before on this channel that I had to get away from the light of Jesus that was blinding me before I could see the true light of Hawa. Samael was a creature of light. JC is a creature of light, but not the light that we are truly supposed to be following. Hawa has the true light, 100,000 times brighter. We just don't see it because it's not put in the forefront like JC was in our entire lives. But I digress. But Methuselah and Noah preached for 120 years. And when these 120 years came close to the end of time, it says in Jasher, 5 years before the promised time of him making the flood, he told Noah to build this ark. Noah knew that he was going to be the last of what he thought was going to be the last of man from an early day. That's why he didn't marry until he was over 400 years old. 495 years old, I believe. And still did not have children until Hawa told him that his children were going to have to be the ones that carried on. And he was 500 years old when he had his first child. Ham. He was 502, I believe, when he had Japhet, and there's no absolute writing, but I believe he was around 505 when he had Japhet. Ham was old, 102 when he had Shem, and 105. I'm not absolutely sure on those, but I'm pretty sure that's about what they decided on Japhet. Japhet being the youngest. So they built this great ark in 5 years. And then he chose 3 women to be the brides for his sons. But Noah was a pure bloodline. He was 100% human. Realize when I say the Nephilims were on the earth, and it says this in Jasher and Enoch, that they had defiled everything, that they had mixed with all the animals, all the people. The angels had mixed up the bloodline so badly that it would not that it would not be undone. And his son's wives were chosen out of this messed up bloodline. So when it said that there was giants in them times and after, it was because that seed still existed through their wives. And it came out in places like Samaria and the Philistines and people like that did. And then they bred together, and you got entire races of Nephilims. I mean, honestly, if you talk about times of like Neanderthals, they used to say we're just a different breed of mankind. Yeah, it was a different breed, but it was a different kind of people. Science says there was 400 and some odd different kinds of upright people living at the same time. It was not an evolutionary factor. It was the mix-up of the fallen angels with the people. The reason there was all these different kinds of people, and the reason they can supposedly have an evolutionary scale, is because of that defilement of the bloodlines. Because Hawa made us in his image. A certain, and those people are still around, but not all people are people. Neanderthals, even though some of them are still got blood in. people that we call people today. The reptilians, which are also known as Greys, still have people that look like us in society. Most people believe that Queen Elizabeth and most of her relatives are reptilians to some degree. And you can tell they have a different bloodline than some other people do, or most people do. They're not A, B, O. They are a completely different bloodline, RH, or something like that. I mean, it's a completely different bloodline. RH positive or something, I believe. I've done the research, but it's been a little bit. And these different mixes are mixes of the blood that has survived. Giants still live today. You see them all the time in basketball and wrestling, especially. These sports are created to worship the giants because first commandment is thou shalt have no other gods before me. And worshiping anything in idolization is putting almost a godhead before him, especially if that's all you think about every waking moment of your life, is how great this supposed person is or whatever,